The amount of wrestling that happened this weekend was incredibly mind-numbingly amazing. WrestleMania, the G1 Supercard, NXT TakeOver, then Raw and SmackDown happened, and we watched them, and some other things happened. In studio, we have a friend of mine and now a friend of the show. We're going to get into everything that's happening this week and more as we...
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready? Break it down! Woo! You just made the list!
Oh, I knew he was going to do that. I just knew he was going to do that. He don't need Janetti. Damn! You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
The cream rise to the top, oh yeah.
It's some man with the rock in cooking.
Bulletproof for life, good bout, and good night, bad.
They think they got the answers. I change the questions.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the most inappropriate pro wrestling show in the motherfucking world. You're listening to Breaking Down the Ring. We are your ring crew.
Nicomas Z.
Nicholas Smitty.
And me, still the ring crew champion.
On a fucking technicality.
The almighty one, Mikey himself.
On a
God
fucking technicality.
Damn midget strippers. Actually, Smitty, if you've been here on time, you would have understood that I actually originally added your scores wrong, and you only ended up, even after your extra 13 points, with a 277.
So you didn't even bullshit.
So you barely beat me.
It was funny. I was putting the scores in because I've been putting them in since January, and I was looking at the 3 scores before I added the 13 points, and I was like, that does not equal 287, just on the top of my head. And then I added it, and then I added the 13 points, and I was like, yeah, how the hell did I get into 300?
No, because it should have been 13. It should have been 15. About
no.
What?
We've already, I sent everything. You should have paid attention. Everyone turn your phones off. And ladies and motherfucking gentlemen, welcome to the show for the first time ever. A lady whose wrestling knowledge expanded 1,057% at WrestleMania this Sunday. Well, at our WrestleMania viewing party this Sunday. Please welcome the wonderful, the beautiful, the spectacular Kellie Rowe!
Oh my God, I've never had an intro like that before. That was incredible.
Well, I have a way of words.
And you know that very large expansion of my knowledge was from nothing, just for the record.
Well, that's
So
why
it's 100 real quick, huh?
Yeah, that's why it was such a large expansion, kind of like my belly. What's up, everybody?
All of us looking chubby now.
No, I've actually been dropping all the way. I think that's what happens is you guys have got my cycle. Like I'm dropping as you guys are growing. Men have cycles too, Kelly. I know that just blew your fucking mind.
The more you know.
First things first, Kelly, don't have to worry about censoring yourself. I know you probably will anyway, but anything goes. As a matter of fact, Smitty makes more racist jokes than anybody I know.
You're telling me that, but I do have another employer.
I know. I know. That's why I said I know you probably still will. However, if for some reason you're like, oh, what the fuck, and then I say fucking, that's fuck is fine. You know this. So let's get into a couple things. First off and foremost, before we start talking about WrestleMania and everything that happened and getting Kelly's knowledge on it and thoughts and stuff, as well as ours, of course, we have to announce that because of the success that we had at the WrestleMania viewing party this last Sunday at the Buffalo Wild Wings in downtown Detroit, they have invited us back for every WWE pay-per-view for the rest of the year. which means Money in the Bank next month, we're going to be there watching it. However, it's not going to be a huge deal like WrestleMania. We won't be on the second floor. We won't be doing anything like that. It's just the pay-per-views will all be available at Buffalo Wild Wings. So anyone who was there that watched WrestleMania with us, you can watch Money in the Bank next month. You can watch following pay-per-views after that. They got SummerSlam coming up in August. Clash of Champions is coming up in October. Survivor Series in November. Every WWE pay-per-view for the rest of the year will be had at Buffalo Wild Wings, and your ring crew will be there. Some of us will be there for the whole show. Some of us will be for as much as we can be there. However, the next two big ones are SummerSlam. And that means we will be doing major events for SummerSlam and then another one for Survivor Series. So we have two more major events at Buffalo Wild Wings. The second floor will be opened up again for us for SummerSlam. However, it won't just be the one side of it. Now they're going to open up the other side, which is a patio area. So SummerSlam, we will be in a patio area. Still do everything like we did for WrestleMania, giveaways, with our pro wrestling scorecards. If you fill out the best one, you get a great giveaway. We're going to have raffles, obviously huge prizes. Shout out to Knockouts and 3 Counts with that Sting bat. Devin came through and he goes, I have this bat for you signed by the Vigilante Sting. I hope this goes over well. Like, what the shit?
Nobody's going to want that.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie though. I was surprised how many people actually came in and filled out scorecards.
Yes.
We ran out.
We ran out of paper.
I went and I printed up 25 because normally what we do is 25 and 10 or 15 of them get used because people usually don't show up before the show. This time they did. Matter of fact, people were showing up like 4:30, and that was crazy to me. So then I printed up more, another 25, brought them up, and Smitty comes to me at 5 minutes before Mania starts, the actual show, and he goes, "We're out of scorecards again." I'm like, all right, well, now we're officially out because I wouldn't even have enough time to go print one and get back up here. So, shout out. If you guys really love the pro wrestling scorecards, you were there, you can do them every pay-per-view, any one that you want. They're even doing Double or Nothing, the AEW pay-per-view in Vegas in May. Obviously, we will also be involved in that. And you guys can go to Pro Wrestling Scorecards on Twitter. That's at PW Scorecards. That's PWSCORECARDS. And you can follow them, and they will have all the scorecards up. You can download them, and then they post all the results so you can see everything that's going on. But again, SummerSlam, August, we will be there for another major event, second floor. Money in the Bank next month in May. Yeah, May, right? Yeah.
May.
We will be there, regular business, and they're not opening up anything special for us, but they will be showing the pay-per-views. We will have all of these events going up on our Facebook really soon, more than likely tomorrow afternoon. So facebook.com/BDRcast, twitter.com/BDRcast. You can get all of that stuff. We'll get it up on our Snapchat and our Instagram as well, at BDRcast, for all of that stuff. Everyone say thank you to Nick for the Snapchat and the Instagram stuff. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
All right, now, the woman of the hour.
Oh.
Waff.
Smitty.
I knew that was coming.
I mean, hey, man, look, you said it yourself. You're getting kind of big. Your tits are growing. So we're going to start talking to you.
I'm lactating a little bit too.
That's quite all right. That's gross, but all right. No.
I'm moving over there. Welcome to the show, Kelly.
Right, I'm going, okay.
Kelly, WrestleMania, you had no idea what to expect. You came into an event that blew our minds. I'll be very honest. Last WrestleMania, we were there, and I was talking to the general manager, Paul from Buffalo Wild Wings, and he told me, he goes, it cost us like $750 to get these pay-per-views because they have to pay by capacity and stuff like that. So I was like, all right. He goes, so last year you guys had a little over 800 in sales. That's how I was able to justify that. Hopefully we do something decent. The first hour that we were there, we doubled the sales from the last event.
Oh, wow.
That was just the first hour.
And the show hadn't even started.
Right. And because that's till 6 o'clock, and then the whole thing filled up. Like, we were talking with the bartender, who I'm friends with, and she was like, oh, they have a server coming up. I probably won't need a server. I was like, you're right. If it's anything like last time, it's just going to be, a couple tables here, people at the bar guests, and us. So it shouldn't be more than one person can handle. No, fuck yeah.
By
They needed
6:30,
They needed,
They needed another server.
yeah,
at least.
honestly, a second server probably should have been up there. But again, that means what it did was it exploded every expectation that Buffalo Wild Wings had, that we had, and obviously expectations that you had, Kelly.
It was more than I expected. It was. I thought, Mikey says, "Hey, come to this event, and we'll put on this show." And I, some people don't believe that I've never seen wrestling before, right? How could you go through life and having never seen wrestling? But I've never seen more than a GIF. And again, me and Mikey talked about this. It's GIF, not GIF. I'm not a monster. So I've never seen anything more than just a little clip. And suddenly 7 hours later, and screaming people and running around and jumping and crying. People were crying, and it was much more than I expected. And I had a really good time.
So obviously there's the atmosphere. That plays a huge part in anything. You can go to a concert and your favorite band could suck on stage, but if you're having a great time with your friends, all of a sudden it's not that bad of a concert. Obviously it's because you're having more fun, but when what you're watching and the people are reacting so emotionally to it, it pulls you in. And I'll be very honest, this was a historical WrestleMania. Few things. Number one,
Kofi.
it was not just that. Number one, it was the first time that a woman has ever main evented WrestleMania, let alone 3. So it was the first time that's ever happened. Second, Kofi Kingston. Now, we'll get into this a little bit, but he is the first 100% African-American WWE champion. And when I say WWE champion, like there's a lot of people on Twitter go, what about Mark Henry? What about Ron Simmons?
Ron Simmons.
And they were, Ron Simmons was WCW.
Well, yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
When Mark Henry did it in WWE, he was the world heavyweight champion. He
with
was
Booker
not
T.
the WWE. Same thing with Booker T.
That big
The
gold belt with the
WWE
shit on.
championship is a championship that has lineage back to
57 years.
Yes, 57 years. I was trying to remember exactly how long, but Smitty knows the exact number because of the history for it. And that's not even I'm not even mocking you for that, dude. Literally not a single full-blooded African American, not especially one born in Africa.
Let's say motherland.
Literally, Kofi
motherland
was born.
African American.
Let alone anyone like that has ever been a WWE champion. Now, we've had our conversations on the show to where a lot of people say, well, maybe it's because Vince hates black people. And we've all come to the consensus of, it's not that Vince hated black people, it's that not a single black person was ever over enough to where it was smart enough to put the belt on him. And I'm in a full belief that if Kofi Kingston did not get into, if Mustafa Ali was
Just
not
Ali
injured,
now.
right? Kofi was not put into that match, to that first gauntlet match, Kofi wouldn't have been where he was. This still wouldn't have happened. And it's because nobody was cheering like that for someone, but Kofi did. And the fans jumped into it. And that means that WrestleMania, at the end of the day, did exactly what WWE promised us. Vince
They gave
McMahon and
the fans what they
everything.
wanted.
They said, as long as we give you more of what you want and less of what you don't, we know that you'll be happy. And everyone was at the end of WrestleMania. Obviously, there's the little stuff that people hated. Corbin going over on Angle and stuff like that.
Clean.
Yeah.
So-
I don't mind him going over. It's like he went over clean.
It's his last match. He was going over clean regardless.
But a lot of people were hoping that there was a problem, and then Kurt won, and then
Right.
someone else came out.
Well, right.
Which is fine. But if it was his actual last match, I'm also okay with that. We'll go into that in a second. But yes, so Kelly, what you witnessed was an probably the most historical WrestleMania since one.
And probably the best in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily.
Probably one of the best at
Easily.
17.
Record-setting title changes. I mean,
7. First time 7 titles have been changed at WrestleMania ever.
All faces except for the Iconics.
So you basically enjoyed something that we had hoped to enjoy for quite a while. But not only that, you also had the atmosphere with it. So how invested, I have to ask, how invested were you, not in just the atmosphere, but the product you were looking at itself?
Are you talking about when I first came in?
Anything. I'm talking from, obviously, from jump to the end of it. Because I know you were putting it on Twitter, like, as soon as the women's were
Yeah.
going, you were like, oh my God, women's been sold.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
So how much, not just the atmosphere, but the product on the television that you were watching pull you into it?
okay, obviously those historic things that you talked about were a big part of it, but what I had never seen before, and this does have to do with the audience, but they'd be talking about, Becky Lynch, they'd be talking about Charlotte, and they'd be like, well, she's the best in the business. I mean, she's clean, she's flawless, she's very reliable, and you don't hear that about female athletes. You don't see women joining in a baseball game, so it's interesting to hear people sit there and be, pretty invested in that, and as for the product itself, well, I had no expectations there. So they just kind of blew them away. I mean, there were some matches I told you I just didn't really understand what was going on, but there are things that I've never seen before, and I was very interested because I tweeted throughout this whole thing, and I was like, The Miz, why is there this old guy in the ring? I don't get it. And people just started being like, oh, well, this is that, and I said, who said that they were the golden shovel? Somebody said
John Cena.
Was that Cena?
Yeah.
And I was going, what is that? What are you talking about? And tons of people were like, oh yeah, this is what that meant. I was just surprised with how many people are so engaged with this that were kind of enjoying me experience this for the first time.
Which is also with anything, I guess. I mean, when you're watching any of your friends or you introduce your friends to one of your favorite bands, like, dude, you need to listen to this, or yo, check this out, and then they fall in love with it the way you do. You're literally just sitting back going, I just made someone happy. I mean, there's
You're like a proud papa.
Not
uncle.
not so much that.
Uncle.
It's to me, it's your friends are now understanding some of the things that you have felt with your heart, with your mind, that now they can finally, instead of, let's say wrestling especially, wrestling has this stigma of really big nerdy type thing. It does. Like, people will say they like wrestling and they're like, really? Now, back in 99, 2000, when it was, one of the coolest things in the world to watch, Austin and The Rock and everything like that, people were like, I love wrestling. Yeah, me too. But now it's, again, at that point where you're like, when it's at the lowest ratings it's ever had, when the product is not really as good as it's ever been, and you're just going, hey, I really like wrestling, and someone goes, why?
That's right when I started watching wrestling.
Right. So you're coming in, and that's another thing that's kind of great, is you came in to see a show that is quite possibly one of the best, if not ever. And that takes time to figure out if it's going to be the best ever. Right now, so that was WrestleMania 35. 17, WrestleMania 17 is the one that's highest and the highest
considered
regards.
the best WrestleMania of all time.
Strong majority of people believe 17. There are others that feel differently.
Yeah, like me.
Which one do you think is the best? Why are you thinking about it that much?
I got a personal favorite. It's not 17.
I was gonna say I got a personal favorite that's not 17, which is 12, because I'm biased. But
overall, top to bottom, do you think 12 is better than 17?
24 was good. 25 was good. 23.
19 was great.
23 was kind of a shit show. Like, I'm just.
I was also at 23.
I'm running through the WrestleManias in my head
I was
right
at 23
now.
as well.
27 wasn't terrible.
My personal favorite was 19.
I would have to go through and watch all of them again.
But he knows that 17 wasn't the best.
No, I don't think it was.
So
I think probably the best card from top to bottom.
13 was a shit show. 14 was decent.
So
15 was pretty good.
So why wasn't 17 the best?
Because I just got to 15. Hold on a minute.
It's like when you're thinking about what you want to eat, so you have to like taste everything. And you're like, oh, okay, go.
I'll be very honest, dude. I think 17 is the best because of the top to bottom. My personal favorite moment is not 17. One of my personal favorite moments is definitely Rock Hogan at 18. The first ever time. Like, I don't even think WrestleMania 17 has my top 3 WrestleMania moments in it, but I can go back and watch 17 top to bottom.
You're talking card top to bottom?
Yeah, top to bottom, just overall.
Just be enjoyable.
The best overall WrestleMania. Because Austin, when he passed out. No, sorry.
No, that was 13.
That was 13.
17 when Austin went heel.
So Austin, when he passed out,
you're going
one of my favorite
moments.
One of my favorite moments, right? Rock versus Hogan. Overall, the match, everything turned. One of my favorite moments.
18.
Benoit and Eddie Guerrero celebrating holding up titles.
20.
These are moments.
Welcome to Wrestling Nerd Knowledge.
See, but these are some of my favorite WrestleMania moments. But overall, top to bottom card, I feel that 17 is the strongest WrestleMania.
I can agree with that to a certain degree.
I
Like
see
that, but I
your
think
argument.
19 was. I think 19 had a really good card as well.
Again, it's obviously all personal.
Yeah, but
opinion.
Like I said, I was only
there
up to 16 in my head.
The
so.
one thing about 19 is there was this one thing about 19 that does not edge out 17, and that's that Triple H Booker T match because the build pissed me off, and then the whole 18 seconds to pin Booker T. That was the only thing, the one takeaway that I hated about 19.
You thought they buried the black guy?
No,
not back then. He didn't know.
No, I did. Actually, I did, but it was one of those things. Like it just came down to the whole thing, like the build, like the way it was just the way some of the wording on that promo, those promos came out. Mm-hmm. It was like people like you don't become like they were trying to attack his criminal background as a young teenager. But it came out, like you people, like what the fuck you mean, people?
Because of you. The way you want to take it.
But you like this Kofi build?
Once again, I told you, I was already skeptical about that build the whole time.
All right, so let's talk about WrestleMania. We're going to talk about it. Kickoff show started off with Tony Nese becoming the brand new Cruiserweight champion when he beat Buddy Murphy. The second annual WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal ended with a very surprise winner, Carmella. After that, the Revival defended their Raw Tag Team Championships against Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. And goddammit, Kurt Hawkins, after losing 269 matches in a row, finally won his first match since his return to WWE. And him and Ryder were the brand new Raw Tag Team Champions.
And unlike years past, they did not lose it the next night on Raw.
After that was the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Braun Strowman went over in that. And then, of course, WrestleMania started. And the amount of boos that happened in our building was crazy when she first introduced Hulk Hogan.
And it was all the same people that cheered somebody.
After that, Seth Rollins beat Brock Lesnar to become the brand new Universal Champion, as that was the match that kicked off WrestleMania. Second match, AJ Styles going over on Randy Orton after kicking out of an RKO. Shane McMahon then defeated The Miz in a Falls Count Anywhere match because of a suplex off of a camera scaffolding that landed Shane on top of Miz. Started the count.
Hate you.
I didn't get any points for that.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
All of us got the pinfall.
No one got it. I'll tell you why in a second.
Okay.
Then the Usos defended their SmackDown Tag Team Championship in a fatal four-way tag match as they beat Aleister Black and Ricochet, or Blackochet as we call him, The Bar, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Rusev. The WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match was next on the line as Sasha Banks and Bayley defended it against Nia Jax and Tamina, Natalya, Beth Phoenix, but they could not hold on as the Iconics became the brand new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. After that was the WWE Championship match. The new Daniel Bryan lost to Kofi Kingston, who in the first time in 57 years, the WWE Championship is being held by a 100% full-fledged African-American.
And also, this is also the first time African-Americans won a major title at WrestleMania as well.
Okay. We'll get into that in a minute. After that, Samoa Joe defended his United States Championship against Rey Mysterio and made him fall asleep quickly. Then Roman Reigns defeated Drew McIntyre. And then as Elias was doing his performance, John Cena came back as the doctor of thugonomics himself. Word life. Threw his nuts in Elias' face and said there was way more bush. Then Triple H and Batista had their no-holds-bar match, and after ripping out Batista's nose ring with a pair of needle-nose pliers, Triple H got the pin over Batista. Following that was Kurt Angle's farewell match against Baron Corbin, and in under 10 minutes, Baron Corbin got the pinfall on the Olympic gold medalist, the first ever Olympic gold medalist in WWE history, who won his gold medal with a broken freaking neck. Then the Demon, Finn Balor, came out to fight Bobby Lashley and his eye contacts, and he won. and he became the new Intercontinental Champion. Then, after that, finally, for the first time in 35 years, women headlined WrestleMania. Charlotte Flair, the SmackDown Women's Champion. Ronda Rousey, the Raw Women's Champion. Both of which lost to the brand new Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion, the man herself, Becky motherfucking Lynch. Now, I want to lead off with the main event. I want to start off with the women's triple threat match for the titles because of basically how it ended.
It was a botched finish.
It was not a botched finish. It's exactly how it was supposed to end. The problem is the referee counted while Ronda's shoulder was up, to which he was fined afterwards because everything happened the way it was supposed to happen. So,
But Ronda's the one that fucked that up.
Ronda did not.
She was uncomfortable in the pin and she went to adjust.
Doesn't matter. So then the referee should have restarted his count. So what I also found out was that Ronda had a really bad gash from Monday night.
Yeah.
And she was wrestling with stitches. So she adjusted herself. Yes. So she adjusted herself, and the ref continued to count rather than stopping and then going back into a 3 count, which is the problem because it took away from a really, really important ending to that show. It then made that feel off, hence all the botched finish speculation. Hence the...
It was still a botched finish, whether it was the ref or
the
somebody else.
or
a
a performer.
Well, okay, there was no botch. That was supposed to be... It was supposed to be... She went for the Piper's Pit. Becky turned it into the pin. That was the proper finish. The problem was Ronda's shoulders weren't down. So instead of upping the count and then counting 3 again, the ref just kept going.
But that's still a botch on the referee's part.
Right, but it's when people are saying a botched finish, they were like, "Oh, Charlotte was supposed to tap here," or
No, they're trying to blame it on Ronda.
Right, and it's not Ronda's fault. You know, she did exactly what she was supposed to do. She got her shoulders up, and it's still basically. So, Kelly, you were asking during the show. You were like, "Is it fake?" And one very taboo word in the land of sports entertainment. Yeah,
valid question for a first timer.
She's like, I will fucking ask what the fuck I want to ask, and I will say that to myself.
She's an intrepid reporter.
And we just said to you, no, it is a choreographed dance. That's what Ric Flair has said. That's what many of the wrestlers have said. And just because the ending is known, professional football, doesn't mean that, doesn't mean how they get there is any less real. You know, Tom Brady still threw those passes in 2001 to get the Patriots that title. You know,
the ball may be a flat, but
they can't possibly be the same though. So they decide in the moment based on those certain situations and circumstances that the other team has done. But with wrestling, isn't it exactly every move that you're going to do?
Not necessarily. Now, there are 2 different types of performers. You have guys that it's called calling it in the ring. They call everything on the fly. So they have no idea what they're going to do. They put the match together out there in front of 80,000 people.
It's complete improv.
Do you have examples of those?
Most of your indie guys, so like your AJ Styles, and Randy Orton. I guarantee you that entire match was called in the ring.
Really?
Just because Randy's such a vet, and that's just how AJ does it. There's other guys.
Kofi could have been possibly too.
Yeah, no, it's entirely possible. It's normally your guys that came up from the independent scene because that's the
way they've worked.
What you do, and you can normally tell because when a botch does happen, when something happens in the match that's not supposed to happen, how you see a guy react to it, you can tell. Okay, they've done this before. Like they have to improvise on the fly.
Well, a good example of that happened during the AJ Styles Randy Orton match when AJ went to jump on the rope. And Randy Orton continued to fall as if AJ was going to throw a forearm at him. And AJ fell off the top rope. He didn't fall, but he caught himself.
Yep.
But Randy Orton continued to just fall, he kept things moving along as if that didn't happen.
Yep.
But we didn't call him stupid.
And then you have other people will go over the match of what they want to do. They'll call their spots before the match, so they'll get in the ring hours before the show and be like, all right, so, we'll do this, all right, now we'll hit this. And they won't actually do a match, but they'll, run through it with each other and kind of get an idea of what they're going to do. The women in that match, though, actually choreographed the match the night before. They actually did, a run-through of the entire match the night before.
Night before is still pretty.
Well, right. No, I'm just saying. So you asked the sports teams they have to adapt to certain situations and adjust on the fly. Well, in wrestling, that is part of it as well.
Well, a lot of it, you're looking at the outcome of the match could very well be predetermined. But when he's talking about on the fly, you can see sometimes if you've been watching it as long as some of these guys have been, when they're talking to each other and giving them the idea, okay, this is what's coming next,
Mikey said a part of that was having long hair sometimes, where they're holding each other and kind of pausing and breathing. He says they might be whispering to each other.
Or if they ever put their hands by their mouth or whatever. Also, if you hear them yell some absurd shit and you're like, what the hell did they just say? They're talking to each other in the ring.
That's interesting.
It's called carny talk, actually.
Yeah, so it's a situation where they're putting on a performance for the audience. That's why, and I kind of don't understand the hatred of calling it sports entertainment, because it's still a sport, but it's still entertainment in the WWE. Because WWE is a publicly traded company. Their job is to entertain the fans. The problem is a lot of people haven't been entertained for a while. That's why WWE's ratings have been dropping so much until recently when things started to go back up, including with WrestleMania. And WWE was being a little too loose with what they did. Things weren't making sense. Things like
continuity.
You would see something happen one week that all of a sudden made no sense. And yeah, continuity, but the thing was, then it went back to what was going on again. So anybody who knows anything about what you're watching you're right. Not only does it need to be continuity, but the story needs to make sense. Mm-hmm. Just because someone pinned someone the week before, if it made sense why that person pinned them, when you're looking at it, why did they lose? Because you're trying to build this person up. You're trying to build people up so people do like them. When you're watching a movie, when you're watching any movie that you watch, right? And they're building this person up to be the hero of the movie, whether it be an actual superhero movie or a romantic comedy where you really hope the guy gets the girl. But let's say all of a sudden that the guy they want you to love at the end of the movie just smacked the girl. You're like, wait, what? What? Are you going to be happy that they got together at the end?
Gotcha,
no,
bitch.
You're not. You're going to be like, why? So he's a domestic abuser and I'm supposed to be happy about the ending of this? And so WWE for a long time, which is kind of funny that they're now hiring somebody who's supposed to be taking care of their continuity.
It's kind of funny that you use that as an example, and Stone Cold was an example for all of us.
Yes, he was. So, that being said, you saw the main event, and that was when you were sold. According to your Twitter,
yes,
that's what sold you. Why did it sell you? Was it just because as a woman watching three women, or was it also the match itself?
I don't know enough about the different types of moves. Obviously, things are very acrobatic and athletic. So, would I be like, oh, that's the blank blank. Oh, I can't believe she could do that. No, I don't have anything to compare it to. Mm-hmm. It was the women thing. I mean, I've never seen anything like that where so many people were freaking out in a room because three very athletic women were doing these really cool athletic things. When you ever see that? I don't. And so at that time, and I liked all the different personalities, and I liked how the people around me were like, oh, Charlotte always does this, or Becky's going to win this, she's going to have this, and they just cared so much. And that's not something you see too often.
What would you compare it to in anything that you have seen or experienced?
The WrestleMania in general?
Or the reactions that were going on next to you as well?
That's tough. I wouldn't say football. That's a whole different. It's a whole different fan base, and they're usually pretty negative if things aren't going too well, because these people are rooting for people. So I think that's the difference between some sports. So I don't know that I could. It's
you didn't see WrestleMania 30 when the Undertaker lost. How people completely just the negative reaction that
Oh,
happened
really? See,
Oh, it happens.
it's
Trust me.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah. That in this case, everyone seemed pretty solid with the outcome, so it was cool.
Now, in watching this, and like you said, there were many people, going, "Oh, Charlotte does this," and you may not know any of the moves, but in watching it, were you entertained by, again, what was going on screen as well?
Yes, it was a combination of everything. So, like you said, it's performance theater almost. So I was entertained by the costumes, the pageantry of it, the walkouts, the differences of styles, and I didn't know the storylines, but you can pick some of them up as you're watching. So I did. I was like, oh, so and so, I have this issue. And of course, you guys were talking in my ear, telling me some. But as for the moves themselves, absolutely. I mean, where else are you going to see something like that? And I don't watch MMA or UFC or any type of fighting. I know it's very different, but anything that's combative, like one-on-one type of thing. So that would be the difference.
Smitty, you were watching this match. We all were watching this match. As you were watching it, what were the things that were standing out to you?
The thing that was standing out to me was like how invested the crowd. The crowd was still pretty much invested, and that was more so like the pacing of the show. I was just more amazed. Like they paced the show perfectly for this match to go on last. And
18 hours later.
But once again, like I say, after certain points, things that happen in that show, you expect the crowd to be completely done and out of it. But they were still invested into this triple threat match. I understand it's been endorsed, but there was so much to happen in the show to keep you. We've seen WrestleManias where the crowd's completely done by the time the main event comes around.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I took from it. And that's because more so at this point, doing the podcast and watching as long as I've become a lot more analytical about stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But the match was still really good. The match was still really good. I'm still gonna call it a botch finish. Nothing on the performers. Like you said, it's all on the referee there. That was the only takeaway I had to take from it.
Z, you were about to say something.
Well, no, I just we always bitch about the way. I mean, I remember last year's Mania, even the year before, about the way they lay out certain matches, like the general layout of the entire show. And we're like, oh, well, why did they put this here? Why did they do that? Oh, that killed the crowd, and then they got to come into this, and they got to build the crowd back up. And this was actually perfect. The way they did it, from having Seth and Brock go on first,
Kofi in the middle.
All the way through. Like they kept that crowd on the roller coaster ride the entire time. With I can't even think I can recall a dead spot in a match where there wasn't noise being made by the crowd.
I won't say perfect. I will say damn near perfect.
That's as perfect as you can get. I mean,
I agree with that. There was
show.
one that we'll go into, or I'll go into in a minute. Nick, you unfortunately could not make it. Baby was sick, so you had to stay at home and be a good father, which is stupid. I don't know why anyone does that.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody parents.
I'm so sick of it.
Should have just put Baby in the corner.
Right. That's where she belongs. That's where she belongs. Unless you know Patrick Swayze, then she doesn't belong in the corner. At home, watching it with your family or was sick, obviously mostly basically by yourself. What were you like going, I'm done with WrestleMania? Because, exaggeration or not, WrestleMania, this was the longest WrestleMania. It started at 5 p.m.
It's a work day.
And it ended at 12:30 in the morning.
Yeah. No, it was after. It was like 12:46.
It was an entire work day.
It was almost 1 o'clock.
Yeah, so with the only break being...
and if you were us, you were there from 3 until 1 o'clock.
I would even say I'm not just hating on it. Like, honestly, the one match I thought was more of the one I took my piss break for was the Reigns McIntyre match.
All right. So, Nick, at home, what were your feelings? How for this match specifically? Let's just go into we're just talking the triple threat match right now. You're watching this. Are you still invested? Are you still going? Are these girls doing exactly what they should do to keep you invested? As probably the most, I guess, common fan. WrestleMania has watch parties, but there's a lot of people who just have the WWE Network and are going to sit at home on the fucking couch and watch it. So as the most common watcher, was at this moment, were you still intense enough to enjoy this match, or were you going, this can end now.
Or I can watch it tomorrow.
I was invested still, and I think the pace of the show, like these guys were all saying, that played a huge part in it. Last year's WrestleMania, I saved the Brock Reigns match till Monday. I fucking went to bed. I'm like, I really want to see this match, but I was so fucking tired. This match, this Becky Charlotte, I was tired, and I was on like a 40-minute delay for other reasons. So I started it late.
Mm-hmm.
So I was fucking tired, but man, the whole pace of the whole event kept me going. I was tired, but the match, I was hoping for a little bit more, but it was a good match.
So what are you hoping for? That's our job to be analytical, brother. Mm-hmm. Tell it. Break it the fuck down. We break the ring down here.
We've actually done it before.
Literally.
With all the different, the build-up that was going on with that and all the different scenarios from Becky being suspended to the jail time to all this stuff, I was hoping for a couple more near falls to keep that build, because the more near falls you get, the more the crowd is just on the edge of their seats and just freaking out. I could have used a few more near falls, but not a big deal.
Similar to maybe Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano at TakeOver?
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
But
I didn't get a chance to watch that one.
But it was a good match. There wasn't at any time when I was like kind of dozing off. I stayed with it the whole time, so I was really happy with it.
I will agree that for the most part, this WrestleMania was paced. I'm not sorry. It was paced better than any WrestleMania I think I've seen.
Any pay-per-view.
Yeah, any pay-per-view in a long time.
For sure.
My only beef with the pacing of this was the Batista Triple H match, because for some reason those guys got 25 minutes in a match that didn't have much build, that didn't have much action.
Yeah, it was
that
very.
for
They
some
got
reason
time to Orton and AJ, which was built.
You know
way
what
better.
you know what happened during Batista Triple H? I remembered things we needed to do during the event. Smitty, we got to count these cards. And so that's what happened. I was like, I was watching it going, there's something I should be doing right now. Every other match I'm watching, I'm going, this is so good. I'm not thinking about life other than, okay, match is over, time to pull a raffle ticket. Every other match, you're right, I was invested. We were going. There was a moment where it was before Cena came out with Elias that Devin from Knockouts and Three Counts came out, and we're talking about how many more matches we have left for the prizes. And he goes, yeah, we got about 4 matches. And I was like, all right, this. Okay, cool. Yeah, no problem. And then an hour, what seemed like a fucking hour later, we still had 4 matches to go.
Yeah,
because this was before Cena,
yep.
and then this is after, we were like this, and then 4 more matches. Like, okay, well, that was an hour later. The Elias Cena stuff, the Triple H and Batista match, and you're like, oh my God, what the fuck happened? And that's where I say 98% perfect. Because for 4 WrestleManias in a row, Triple H has had the longest match. And for the most part, some of those matches should have been long. This was not one of them.
Are we talking from
especially
entrance?
when you give, where it's match time.
Oh, folks.
Especially when you're talking that the guy who came back from fighting leukemia had an 8-minute match. Reigns and McIntyre was 8 minutes. A story that has been built up for 7-8 months, and the guy gets 8 minutes. Which, look, I'm not.
Well, not specifically the Drew Roman angle has not been built up for 7 months.
But it's the guy with cancer, the guy who came back to fight for cancer, and you gave him the win.
And that's fine. But you're.
I'm not arguing that he should have got more than 8 minutes.
No. I'm not saying that the match was bad for an 8-minute match, but who knows? Maybe Roman can't go for more than 8 minutes.
I was just gonna say, I wonder if he's tired.
You're right. Like, I mean, you got ring rust. I mean, his body probably took a toll. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there are different, probably things that played into that.
Well, I think if there was any match that the crowd was kind of out of it, was that match.
Yeah,
that's what I was. That's what I said. That's why I take my piss break.
Wait, the Drew and Roman or Batista?
Drew and Roman, and not to say that they weren't interested, but Roman took an ass kicking 90% of that match,
right. And then he went over, just like every other Roman's race.
So, yep, it wasn't anything different. So,
but again, I'm just like, if you're giving the guy who came back from cancer only 8 minutes, and so obviously it's a rushed match, and there's not much storytelling you can do within it. There's no reason that Triple H and Batista needed 25. And that's all I'm saying.
Not at all, because everything they did in their match, had they quickened the pace, they could have done it in 8 minutes.
That's a 10-minute fucking entrance.
Dude, I would, come on. Triple H was sitting on Batista with the chair going, guess I'm going to pull his nose ring out now. Look at this. Check it out. I'm about to pull his nose ring out now.
And he spent
All right,
10
here I go.
minutes just to go through that bag of tools.
Yeah, and that's where obviously but again, doesn't matter. Bottom line is, for the most part, Nick, you were still into it. Smitty was still into it. Z was still into it. Kelly was sold by it, and I was still into it. And we had a bunch of shit we were doing, and we were still that invested into this show. Next match I want to talk about. Next history-making match, man. Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan.
Kofi Mania.
I cried.
In my honest opinion, watching that show top to bottom, not just because of the ending of it, because obviously I have no true emotional attachment to it, I think it was the best match on the card.
See, look, I had to go back and watch it and be from an unbiased opinion, because I've watched WrestleMania twice now. And I know my first original biased opinion was because of the history behind this match. It was that, but then I went back and watched the whole show from top to bottom again. And I go back and watch it, it's still the best match on the card.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I thought the storytelling into it, the overall selling of it, what they did with Rowe, how they did, I couldn't see another match that I was at the end of it going, that match was damn near perfect. You know, other matches were good, but that match was damn near perfect. Smitty, I want to start with you specifically because of the history for it, and I'll never understand it. I will never claim to understand. And we fuck with you all the goddamn time. But this is a moment that it paid off, and I kind of, as I'm giving you props, I'm kind of going to talk shit about some of this. And I'm talking shit about a lot of people saying the first African-American champion. And the problem with that is when you say first 100% African-American champion, I'm okay with it. But the minute you say it's the first black champion, I feel like you're negating The Rock. Like, you're 100% saying that The Rock doesn't fucking matter. Oh, he wants to say that he was more Samoan, so he doesn't get to claim it. And, God, I hate to go political on this show. And we try to avoid it, but I feel like at a point, you can't say... You can't fight for something. You can't fight for something saying, look, I don't understand why I'm not this enough to be that, and then say he's not enough that to be this. And I just feel like as a person, just a person, not a white dude, not anything, not a black guy, not Joe, not a Jewish guy, you know, just as a person, how... You've never done it, and I will give you all these props. You have never said it. You have never negated The Rock's lineage. But
I've never negated his lineage. My whole thing is that I accept the fact that he's half black, half Samoan. My only issue is if he was not have that Samoan lineage behind him, do you think he would have got as far as he did?
And we've talked about this many times before. If The Rock, it doesn't matter who it was. If they had that amount of charisma, and we had these arguments a couple weeks ago, anyone with that amount of charisma was going to skyrocket to the top of the division.
If The Rock would have been 100% African American with that much charisma, he would have been the first WWE champion.
100%, yeah.
I still kind of it's one of those what if situations where
right. We'll never know.
We'll never know.
And
how many lists did it take to get to the bottom of Tootsie Pop?
Right. 3. That's what the fucking owl said. It's 3. 1.
I'm not biting on the Tootsie Pop.
3. You know.
But I'm not biting on the Tootsie Pop.
Well, that's because your teeth are bad. Brush them. You'll be fine. Floss.
Not just jagged.
Look, man, you're African American. Floss. That's what you do.
That's a white boy dance. That's the white boy dance, man.
Yeah, but you made it better.
Dance break.
You made it better.
That's what we do.
Right. So, history, lineage, all that aside, you watched WrestleMania twice. Before we go into the end of watching it the first time, let's talk about the second time you watched it. You watched it, you still say best match on the card. What stood out to you, Smitty?
It's pretty much everything. Like I said, the pacing of the match was perfect. Like the storytelling, everything leading into the match, it's everything still held up, despite how long and overblown out the build up was. And then they were probably two of the most crisp guys throughout the whole night. Everything was fluid throughout that match. Every near fall actually felt like it counted. and it is like the way they got rid of Rowan, and it was like the pacing, everything that was done in that match. It was, like I said, I was watching the second time. I watched the second time, and I was way more analytical at that point. And I found maybe one or two things that was like just me being nitpicky.
Right.
And that's kind of, like you said, it's what we do here.
We're supposed to nitpick.
So we just get a little bit nitpicky about like I was nitpicky about like how many times they cut back to the backstage area. Where like the first time I was watching, I was so emotional. I'm over there, I turned to a goddamn Uso, and I'm not the biggest Uso fan. I'm more like, you got this, Uso, my nigga Uso, and I'm just pounding on my chest. And when it all
no one in Breaking Down the Ring other than Smitty said that.
Yeah,
not one of us.
Maybe Uso, but not nigga.
Nick, watching it, your feelings on the match, sir?
It was exciting, and I think I kind of agree with Smitty when he nitpicks the backstage cutscenes, because while it does kind of keep it interesting and refreshing, and maybe for somebody like Kellie, who's not really in, just now getting into wrestling, so to speak.
Thank you.
And you see something like that, and it kind of adds to that excitement, that build, and but the match was great. It wasn't too long, it wasn't too short. It was just right amount of time.
Oh, it was baby bear's porridge.
Yeah, it was perfect.
It was my WrestleMania main event. Damn it!
Wasn't too cold. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It definitely was one of the best matches, if not the best match on the card for sure. I definitely would agree.
Z, your thoughts on this?
All right, so I had to go back and watch it a second time because I was too busy ripping apart fucking raffle tickets.
I'll be very honest. I've watched WrestleMania twice now because of the event. There's no way we could have come into this show and talked about it.
We did the title belt.
Yeah.
We announced the title belt.
We got two
before that
champions
match,
that
so
night.
everyone was coming up to me.
Yep.
I mean,
I think we made a third of our money after announcing that was the one.
yeah.
Yeah.
I made guys would come up. Let me get $80 or $60 in tickets, and I was like, why did I make the $20 spot 40 fucking tickets? Anyway, so I went back and rewatched. It
sounds perfect,
and it was a wrestling clinic. It had, everything you'd want. Not too many near falls, but enough to keep you excited. It wasn't overly drawn out. You have two professionals that have both been wrestling for over 15 years, so they knew exactly what to do in certain moments to make that emotion. To take that emotion and just raise it up another notch higher, especially with all the emotions surrounding this match in the first place. So, hats off to them, because this match, it was, the closest thing to perfect that I've seen in a long time.
Kellie, I sent you a text during this match. Probably during the last 3 or 4 minutes, because I sent it and then I went and I pulled up our Periscope and I went live. Just because I knew that when Kofi won, that fucking crowd was going to explode.
And if he didn't, they were going to riot. So either way, it was, worthy of.
No one would have wanted that belt. So you obviously then, I saw, paid more attention to the crowd. And you were definitely into it. Match-wise, crowd-wise, what were your takeaways from everything here?
I went into the match not knowing anything about the historical relevance or anything like that. So when you finally sent me that text, you were like, hey, either way, the crowd's going to go nuts. So watch for that. And I'm looking around and people are kind of, squeezing their hands and, and I'm getting ready. I have my camera ready. It's my favorite part. And then he won. And it just screaming, people jumping on chairs and just, it was walls, mostly Walt.
I did a victory lap too.
Yes, people were running around, and it was nice to see something like that, especially since I didn't know, honestly, that wrestling could evoke emotion like that. Such real emotion like that. I thought it was more just, I hope this guy wins. I hope this guy loses. I didn't know it was just so impactful. As Smitty has been saying, that was surprising.
If you really wanted to see what kind of emotion that wrestling can pull out of you, you should have seen Joe after Kurt Angle lost to Baron Corbin. He was so mad. I think he canceled his WWE subscription right then and there. Like,
he was a one-man riot squad, pretty much.
It's funny. He did say if Corbin won that he was done with WWE, and he's not on the show now. So, no, obviously Joe's dealing with some things, so that's why he's not here tonight. Now, match-wise. Like when we watch this match, we watch it as you've heard our analytical take, wrestling clinic, the way these guys go on. The other part of this is while we're watching it with that degree of nitpicking, the reason we loved it is, I was telling you, you were like, it's choreographed. I'm like, yes, but if you go to a play and someone in that play messes up their lines, it takes all of the suspense of disbelief out of it. Now you're like, well, what? You're kind of...
that you're at a play.
Yeah, and you're not just enjoying a show anymore. You're going, well, they're making this known that I should not be believing anything that's going on here. So, because they're definitely not in the 1920s, and her fucking hair shouldn't be like that, and her wig fell off, and so on and so forth.
He's got a smartphone.
But this...
That's not really a hyena.
Goddamn Lion King, Book of Mormon, you got the AIDS. So, this is a match that, when you're watching top to bottom, you can look and go, everything they did was fluid. It worked. Anybody watching this, be it a brand new person to wrestling, to the oldest person who has been watching wrestling since they were 5 years old, going to the shows in Mid-South in the 70s, can watch this and go, that was amazing. And regardless of the emotion involved in it, you could sit back and just watch it by yourself and go, that was a good show. That was a good match. And that's something that you would show to someone to bring them, why is wrestling so good? Well, let me show you this match, And you could do that for a myriad of matches throughout time. This one, though, is one that, as you were watching, was there anything as far as the performance-wise that stood out to you?
I knew you were going to ask me that, but unfortunately, you guys are talking about like nitpicking and there are things. No,
Yeah.
I just mean that you could notice something that wasn't exactly supposed to be. To me, even if they had messed up, I would never know that. I'd never know that. If they just stood there like kind of breathing, I'd be like, oh, that's theatrics. I don't know if they're vamping. I don't know enough about that. So to someone who's not as knowledgeable, they're doing a great job.
I don't mean as a nitpicking, as something that stuck out as something that
you as somebody.
I'm talking about. What I mean is watching it, something that stood out that was good. And anything that while watching the match you go, that was cool. That was nice. I like that. Other than the reaction of the crowd afterwards.
For this one, I honestly can't pick out something specific. Once you said, hey, look at the crowds, that was way more interesting.
It's kind of my fault.
Right. Damn you, Mikey.
I'm sorry. Look, man, I'll be honest.
You stole one from the black man.
No, I didn't, because what I wanted her to do was see the reaction.
No, that's what I would say.
Because that's truly, honestly.
Yeah, no, I was fucking with you.
Because let me be very honest. There could have been botches in this match, and it'd be talked about way less than the Becky Lynch botch.
Absolutely.
Just because of the lineage of history. They're talking about, women haven't main evented WrestleMania in 35 years. Well, 100% black man hasn't been the WWE champion in 57. So there's 22 more years on there. So it's, and there's more, what people have been wanting and hoping for. And this just, it was just such a perfect event for this. Now, you said this match, there isn't something that stood out that made you go, wow, that was cool.
I do have one.
Yeah,
it was.
shoot.
Oh God! All right, don't make fun of me, Periscopers, but I made some notes. I'm very studious.
Hey,
so
I bring in notes every now and again too. But I plan on getting
yeah, but Smitty can't even read his own notes. So.
Right. Well, that's because I'm usually drunk off my ass.
Okay. This was the Miz one with the Shane.
No, we're talking about the Kofi.
I asked for any match.
Any match. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why you don't host, because you don't remember where we're going.
So
think a lot.
I think it was you who told me that he likes to jump off of things, and I thought, wow, doing this sport but jumping off of really high places, that sounds incredible. And what they did, that really big jump, I was like, oh my gosh, how did no one? How do you do that? So that was pretty impressive to me. Also, the chairs. I don't get how you're smacking people with chairs and nobody gets hurt.
That's the thing. They are hurt.
They're actually getting smacked with chairs. Like,
there's nothing. Oh, really?
They dictate the place on the body to hit. Okay. So if you get hit across the back, as long as the chair is flipped
Wrestling
certain way. And it hits the meat, it'll hurt, but it'll feel like you're getting smacked, as opposed to if you flip the chair the other way where the little curve is sticking out, you're gonna have some welts on your back.
Well, back in the day, they used to crack each other in the skull with the chair, like straight.
Yep.
They don't do that anymore. But,
Well, not in WWE at least.
Yeah. Right. Friend of the show, Orlando Christopher, has always said that he is a professional wrestler, and he said that in becoming a professional wrestler, obviously your body becomes more used to things. But every major bump is like being hit by a car going 35 miles an hour. Every major bump. So now,
and when you train, you do 1,000 of them every day. You just throw yourself at the ground.
There's the same reason why when you could just look at a dude doing the splits,
like Big E did all weekend.
When like you're just looking at it going, how is or a girl even, how are they doing the splits? Jean-Claude Van Damme in those old school movies where he's doing it on chairs and everything. You're just like, oh my God, it seems superhuman. But it's not when you realize that these people have been training for years. Like we were saying, Kofi Kingston has been in the WWE itself, just the WWE before all the other stuff, 11 years.
I was going to say that. That's something that I did see. I have a question about that.
Yeah.
While I have you. Why?
Just for a couple hours here, Kel. So I've got another hour, yeah.
So I saw, I tried not to do too much research because I wanted this to be organic. But
one of my favorite words.
He's been in WWE for 11 years. Why did it take so long to get to this point?
So, to become the champion, Kofi Kingston is one of those wrestlers that at one point they were starting to give him a push. Smitty, you can actually explain this better because I don't remember all of the stuff that happened during the Orton Kofi stuff.
It was 2008 or 2009. He did a program with Randy Orton. Randy Orton is one of the biggest stars in the company. He made a mistake during a spot in a match, and that resulted in literally on live television, Orton just smacking around, Kofi going, yelling, calling him stupid. And Orton just pretty much got so mad that he pretty much took the push that Kofi was getting and put it on, and just buried it, and he just lingered on the mid card until the New Day thing came around.
So when you're kind of like the conversation we were just having about if The Rock was 100% black, would he have made it to where he was? Certain people, they're okay in the ring, but people buy into the character.
Yes.
Stone Cold Steve Austin is a guy that I feel is both. He was a ring technician, a ring general, as it's called, and those are the people that can carry a match, that can make the other person look good. But he also had this amazing talking ability. So it shot him up in the WWE once they let his personality out. Because Stone Cold, he wasn't Stone Cold when he first came in the WWE.
He was a ringmaster.
Yeah, ringmaster. You can actually leave that open, dude. It's fucking hot in here. Yeah. So Austin, when he first came in, they didn't want him to talk. And he said it himself,
as a mouthpiece.
They said that he was getting sick of it and he was trying to pitch new gimmicks to them. And he was like, let's do this. He goes, I want to be like this ice cold guy that just goes at it. And they were like, well, okay, give us a name. And he couldn't think of any other name until he said his wife handed him tea one day and she goes, you better drink that before it gets stone cold. And he was like, that's how it is. I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then they let him talk. And in talking, the audience bought into him. Similar to Becky Lynch now.
You even say that for Kofi because Kofi didn't get really time to talk till he started talking with the New Day.
True. Agreed. But again, stuck into a gimmick.
Oh, I have another great question, but go on.
So Becky Lynch, even right now, when she was talking, everyone was believing what she was saying. She's like, it's my time. And then they tried to make Becky the bad guy. But the problem is they made her the bad guy speaking a truth that the people agreed with. There's a bunch of bad guys that speak the facts, but people don't agree with. So that's why they're the bad guy.
Daniel Bryan.
Yes. Sami Zayn now.
See you in hell.
Right. So she comes in, she goes, it's my time. I've worked. I've just been held down. I want this opportunity. And then when someone went to take it and she just was doing what bad guys do, they were cheering it. Kofi, same thing. He was put into a spot. He wasn't supposed to be in the WrestleMania main event. Before the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, they said Daniel Bryan had to defend his title. And they named the 5 other wrestlers he had to defend against. One of those wrestlers caught a concussion the week before the pay-per-view. So they said, the New Day, who is Big E, Kofi, and Xavier Woods, they said they can choose one of their members to go in.
Insert face here.
Yep. So they chose Kofi. And the long-running commentary with New Day is they always put Kofi in for any type of championship match. This is not the first time they just put him in.
Okay.
But Kofi was put into this gauntlet match, and what a gauntlet match is 6 wrestlers, however many wrestlers. The person who loses goes out. The next person waits for the person who won, waits for the next one to come right back in. And they just go and they just go and they go.
Last to the last man standing.
So Kofi Kingston lasted a long time. I want to say almost
an hour.
Yeah.
He lasted an hour, like 4 minutes or something like that.
He wasn't one of the last 2 in, but he
was majority of the show.
Yeah, majority of the show was him. And it, just like we were talking about at WrestleMania, it was just beautiful to watch. Mm-hmm. And the audience was behind him. Kofi.
But it's not the first time he's been like one of that performer.
Right, but it's the first time that the audience really jumped behind him in a singles area.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's also the first time since
his
he's been in the New Day that he's gotten a singles run.
But again, this wasn't even supposed to be a run because
it was a fill-in.
I know, but what I'm saying is they got over as the New Day. Like, the New Day is over. They sell merch, they are the most over group in WWE. None of them have really been in a singles match for a title, period. Not a push, not a run or anything like that. So, I mean, it was kind of inevitable.
Okay. At the same time, though, the reason I was saying they have put Kofi into situations where he could have gone for a singles title. Is because they've put him in. We want Kofi to fight for it. And it's happened a couple times within the past 5 years. He may not have actually had a title match, but Kofi was the one that they put in. Right.
He's like...
This is the time that the audience jumped behind him, though. And then at the pay-per-view event, 5 days later, same thing. Wonderful performance. Fans exploded behind Kofi.
Because he was the last man.
To the point where they said he deserved a singles match at the next pay-per-view, the Fastlane. Well, then Vince took it away and gave it to somebody else because the person that he gave it to was the guy that really wanted Daniel Bryan to face at WrestleMania. But the problem is the audience was too much behind Kofi to where if you took it away from Kofi, audience would have revolted. And just a couple months beforehand, WWE said, we're going to give you more of what you want, less of what you don't. Granted, this storyline and a few storylines heading into WrestleMania were bumpy as fuck. But this is the time.
This was trotting lines that would have people rioting if they.
This time, Kofi had such a following that it was it would have been, you're right, a massacre to the company had they not done what they did. So you're asking why it's taken so long. It took just as long for the audience to jump behind him as it did for him to put on a performance like that made the audience jump behind him. It's both. There's many times where people are getting pushes, but they're not that over.
Okay, I have a question. What about like Sheamus? Sheamus was only on the main roster for 3 months before they threw the title, the WWE Championship on him.
Yeah, but they built him as a top heel. Plus, they love doing that when they bring in like new foreign guys. Throw the title.
I get the whole USA versus the world thing, which Vince has a massive hard on for.
Yeah, but again, that's just what it is.
Plus, Sheamus was a believable fucking champion. Like, no one ever questioned it.
It's like asking why it took so long for any of the other guys who should have just been mid-card to get where they were. Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, all of this. Kofi took longer because
he's a smaller guy, and he doesn't fit Vince's bill of what he wants on his main event.
So when Sheamus comes in, big, fucking, that's the look.
How did that go again? Yep.
All the beef. All the beef.
Vince McMahon likes big, sweaty men.
All right, so Kelly, what was your
next question
you came up with?
Oh, thank you. Okay. So you were talking about them creating their personas and them talking and, WWE liking a certain person and pushing them in a certain direction. How do you think in the last couple of years social media has affected that? Because I have to imagine they go on there and they'll post things or pictures and influence audiences like crazy. But back in the day, wrestling didn't so much have that, so they decided who to push based on different aspects.
So there's this thing in wrestling called kayfabe,
which is on life support, give or take.
So before social media, you would never really know the outcome of a match. You would
unless you had a dirt
you would have your favorite wrestler, and that's who you would want to win. With social media nowadays, it's all but a certainty, unless there's like a last minute swerve at the end, because like everybody knows everything and you can look anything up. This Kofi Kingston match, I believe, was directly affected by social media, because that's how the New Day got over. They use their social media outlets in order to reach out to people, and it helps wrestlers get over more in a way. It kind of hurts the heelish, which is like the evil guys, because then they can't really be a normal person on social media. They have to kind of stay in character, and if they don't,
guys like Kevin Owens do a great job doing it.
And if they don't, it kind of like we compared it to the theater. If you screw up your lines or you come out of character, it kind of ruins it. So there's that. I mean, you got to be very careful about what you do and say in public, and with the public eye being on you all the time,
So you're saying Ronda Rousey can't be saving like kittens from trees? Like she just can't be doing that.
No, she should be like drop kicking them. But
a good example of somebody that does this horribly is Lana.
Well, like back in the day, in like the 80s and 90s, like bad guys would ride with bad guys and good guys would ride with good guys, and they never talked to each other outside of the business. You could be best friends, but if you were a good guy and your best friend was a bad guy, you didn't talk to each other except behind closed doors. Now with social media, you see it all the time. You see two guys that literally just kick the shit out of each other. Last night on Monday night are out getting drinks at a bar or at the beach or whatever, and you see it all the time. So it kind of hurts and helps in different ways.
That's fascinating.
I agree. Do you have any other questions?
No, that was good. Wait a minute. Yes, I do.
All right.
She's got a whole list
Hold
over
on.
here.
Let me look at my. Okay,
Why does the
honestly,
ovarian cup look like some ovaries?
The women's battle royal champion.
I was very upset because I always liked Ronda Rousey. I don't understand what designates someone a heel. Or I get it's the bad guy, but why did she fall into that?
Becky was too over.
See,
Okay, so
Here we go.
Long story short, Becky was what everybody wanted,
Okay.
and the company was so behind Ronda Rousey because she's the biggest draw in the women's division.
Sure.
But Becky, when they tried to pair Becky with Ronda, the crowd instantly turned on Ronda.
Okay.
So there was a situation back in November where Becky's face got busted open.
She break her nose?
yeah.
Well, another lady broke her nose. Big mama. Big Mama Nia Jax broke her nose, and they replaced her. She was supposed to originally go. One of the original plans was for Ronda Rousey to face off against Becky Lynch at Survivor Series, but instead it ended up being Charlotte Flair. And the fans are already so behind Becky at this point. So when Ronda got her ass whooped with a kendo stick, the crowd literally cheered for Charlotte Flair as she beat the living holy hell out of Ronda Rousey.
So
And
it's just kind of the comparison then?
they turned her heel because they took that situation and just the momentum that Becky was getting.
They made Ronda Rousey exactly what she was in MMA.
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey, every time she was in MMA, didn't give a fuck. She would say what she wanted, did what she wanted. She was going to go in there and beat your ass anyway.
Yeah, but for the longest time, they tried to push her as a face, and it didn't work. So finally, they were like, go out and do your thing.
Yeah. So that's basically what happened here. So who's your favorite ad? Okay, you know what? That's Michigan State. Favorite college because you went there, you grew up, huge Michigan State fan.
Boo.
There's always one.
Now, anybody, let's not even Michigan, right? Anybody comes and tries to do anything negative to your school. Do you automatically just dislike them?
Yes.
There you go.
Heel and face in a
And
nutshell.
and that's it. There's whether they're coming in with any type of facts, something like that. Your first defense is this is my school and I'm going to defend it. Anybody who went against Becky Lynch because Becky Lynch was there in your eyes, MSU, ours, U of M. Whatever Ohio State's is, yeah,
Nothing. Nobody.
Yeah.
Ohio
They're
State's
bald.
nobody.
They're bald nut.
I don't give a shit.
That's what it is. So, but the minute she went against her, not even saying anything, they were like, "No, fuck you. This is who I'm for. You're now the bad guy."
But doesn't Charlotte go against Becky? Is Charlotte a heel?
Yes. And
Okay,
Charlotte was
that
also
one I didn't know.
And same thing. But the difference with Charlotte's heel is it wasn't a full heel because she's also highly respected.
I was
in the
gonna say it
business.
didn't seem that strong.
Charlotte falls in like the tweener category
Yeah,
where
okay.
they're not. She's not. She's
She could be
supposed to be
written-
the bad guy, but she's not exactly the bad.
She's
guy.
never. She is supposed to be written. She's written as a heel, but she has so much respect that she gets face reactions when she's in that ring.
In wrestling,
It's hard to be a
You
heel.
very rarely get good guy versus good guy, and if you do, it's like two people that no matter what you try, the fans are going to cheer for them.
Was there one in WrestleMania?
No.
Okay.
So what they try and do, they'll do good guy and bad guy, good guy and bad guy, good guy and bad guy. It's just like the formula, and then you get people like Becky, who was supposed to be the bad guy in her match, but the fans loved her. So she technically would fall into that tweener category too, because they still kind of ran with the heel character, but the fans were buying into it more, her as a heel, which happens actually to a lot of wrestlers over the years. Because when you're playing the bad guy, you can pretty much do and say whatever the hell you want to. You have no parameters other than, hey, you can't drop these certain words on PG TV. Where a face has to always be nice and lovey-dovey, and it gets boring and old after a fact. So
When Becky turned heel for the first time,
SummerSlam.
everybody
last year.
was on board. Like every single person in the arena was like, "Yes, thank God."
We've been waiting for
it. She was supposed to be a bad guy, but everybody was all about it. So it's not like typically what you see when somebody turns heel. They're like, "Boo!" Like flipping the middle finger. We hate you. Not with Becky. That didn't happen.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you know why that would be? Did everyone just liked her?
Who disliked?
Or just liked her?
Again, it was with what she was saying.
Okay.
So Becky
Oh, it was
saying,
my turn,
"Yeah,
I worked
I
hard."
want," and they're like, "Yeah, we agree." So
Instead
then,
of-
when she didn't get what every fan thought she should have been given, the fans were like, "No, fuck anybody else until you give it to her." So that's why she became the face, because that's became the fan favorite, and that's why people are called faces, because they're fan favorites. And people that they don't like, the fans don't like, those are the heels. It's Triple H has said it a little bit. He's like, and Vince has said there's kind of like no faces and no heels anymore, because a heel does bad things and people boo. But if you're someone that the people like, no matter what, they can do bad things and you're cheering them. Becky Lynch was attacking Charlotte Flair backstage out of nowhere. That's something that you would normally go, dude, why the fuck would you do that? That's such a dick move. You're an asshole. But everyone's like, yeah, fuck Charlotte. And like, wait, what? So again, when they say there's no heels and faces, it's there's no defined heel. There's no defining characteristic of a face anymore. Now it's just fan favorites and the ones the fans hate.
Well, like perfect example with Roman Reigns before his whole issue with cancer. Man, everybody and their fucking brother would boo this guy out of the building. But WWE kept pushing him as a face, pushing him as the good guy, no matter what the situation. So, it's, and now look at him. He comes back, he had this cancer issue, and now everybody's all like pro Roman Reigns, so another example of there's that gray area with the heel and face.
And that's part of the storyline, kind of switching back and forth where it's necessary.
Mm-hmm. Not a Roman situation.
So let's go into the Shane McMahon Miz match, the thing that is the one that blew you away with the huge
superplex,
the superplex from the camera scaffold all the way down. When you're watching this, you're seeing the fans and everything. What was your takeaway from this match?
Why in God's name is there an old man out there? With no context, I didn't really understand, and maybe I wasn't listening properly, because obviously it was his dad. I figured that out later, but, 1 minute I'm eating some wings, and the next minute I look up, and there's this guy with a mullet and a chain. I'm going, what is wrestling? I did not understand. That ended up being one of my favorite parts, because then, of course, it turned into a meme, which is one of my favorite things of all time. So.
Which meme? Is this the one with him and Vegeta and he's squaring up?
Oh, my God, no. It's over 900.
No, there's literally a meme of, like, Mr. Miz squaring up, again, like, just the one Vegeta with his back. Somebody just took Goku out there and just put the Miz's dad up there squaring up.
There's just thousands. I like the one it was like baby boomers versus millennials, or like millennials just exist, baby boomers, and it's that meme. Just very funny. But okay, so that's a question. So they got his dad involved. I mean, was that?
Oh, that's been building for a couple months now.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was any background. I thought they were just like, okay, so we're gonna throw my dad in, and they're like, oh, you're gonna do what? No, we're gonna throw my dad in, and just we'll see where it goes.
Well, okay, so WrestleMania is the third act of any movie. Or episode 22 of your favorite television show.
Okay.
Right? So everything builds up to it. It's not like you came in at the third act, which in some movies is amazing. Mm. Other ones require you to know the first couple parts. You know, you couldn't watch a love story and fall in love with that couple if you just watched the third act. You could not enjoy a mystery movie or a mystery show if you only watched the season finale. But any type of action sequence, you can usually catch up right there and be like, oh, this is where it was going at the end of it. Now, that's why wrestling is so easy to fall for anybody. Because if you're coming in and watching it, there's a little bit of backstory to every match. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, you can pay attention to that, find something good about it that sucks you in, and then you'll keep watching. And then wrestling is the only sport that has no off season. So while WrestleMania is just like NFL Super Bowl, they don't have 4 months off anymore. WrestleMania
back
is
to it the next day.
Yeah, they don't have, it's their World Series. They're not waiting for the winter to end before they kick back into gear. It's the next night they're going out there and everything's starting again from scratch. So while yes, you're like, I don't understand why this is here. Like Smitty said, it's been building for months. But at the same time, that build, while it left you kind of confused, still at the end of the day, with that huge suplex off of the camera scaffold, you're just like, holy shit, that was crazy.
Cool. That was cool.
Smitty, we're watching this. It was funny because Z was talking about how he hated me because he thought I got points for saying scaffolding. So in the pro wrestling scorecards, there's extras on this, and one of the extras was what's the highest thing that Shane McMahon will jump off of.
You put scaffolding?
And I wrote scaffolding. I didn't get any points for that.
Because he didn't jump off of it.
It was a suplex.
It was a suplex. He landed off of it.
Shane McMahon fell off of everything.
Technicalities.
Technicalities.
And look, he wanted he kept the title off of technicality.
He didn't. So the highest thing that he technically jumped off of was the ring apron. That was the only thing he did an actual jump off because he climbed up to the top rope, didn't jump.
His dad, because Mr. Miz jumped in front of the table.
So that's
Mr.
what.
Miz.
Yeah, that's what
everybody's
Very
calling
respectful.
him. He's Mr. Miz.
Well, yeah,
he's George Lizana, but everybody calls him Mr. Miz.
Oh, I see. I thought he was just being very, very respectful.
Well, and you know where Miz is from.
No.
Oh,
wait, the real world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
that's
and
cool.
that's where the Miz character was born.
Yeah, he was
because
he goes into wrestling.
And he all the time on Real World when he did any type of wrestling stuff, he called himself the Miz. So then he became the wrestler, the Miz. Just kind of made sense.
He's the most successful person to come off the Real World ever.
Seriously.
Okay, I got a quick sidebar.
Yeah.
It's semi-unrelated.
Smitty
but-
loves these.
Okay. So
We call them sidecasts.
It has to
Sidecast
do
Bob.
with someone having a career and then going into WWE. Are you guys gonna get Gronk?
We either gonna get Gronk or McGregor.
I think
Oh
both.
wow.
I think both.
Do you think Gronk could do it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gronk
Oh,
was
yeah.
involved in
Gronk
the
was
last
involved
year's.
Would he be a face or would he be a heel?
Oh, he'll start off as a face.
Like
He'll
me?
definitely start off as a face.
You think so?
Yeah, unless they team up with Mojo Rawley right now, which they don't know what the fuck they're doing with him, and he'll be a heel.
Actually, no. Gronk would come as a face. Connor, heel.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
But
even I can tell
Gronk's
you
definitely built for it. He's got the athleticism, the speed, and
And he's a fan.
for sure.
that. Wouldn't that be
He was
funny?
actually at WrestleMania. I don't know if
Last
you were
year.
aware of this. Last year, he jumped in
I remember.
during one of the Andre the Giant battle royals, and he,
Helped Mojo Rawley win.
and did he spear Jinder Mahal?
I think he speared Jinder Mahal and hit with one of the Singh brothers, hit and like clothesline the Singh brothers.
Yeah, he was sitting in the front row, and he got a drink spilled on him, whatever, and jumped the fence, and yeah.
That'd be good.
Is it Ronda Rousey? Like Ronda Rousey was in WrestleMania 2 years ago, right before they signed her.
yeah.
Those are auditions, huh?
No.
No,
What, to see if they, they like WWE.
Oh, they know they like WWE. That's the reason they brought him in.
If they want to continue or
The
go
Impractical
full
Jokers
blown.
are going to be next.
Right, yeah. Can't wait for that.
hey, Colin Shane. Oh, wait,
All right,
where's Michael Shane,
Smitty.
Colin
Smitty,
Jones?
let's talk about this match a little bit. So, Mr. Miz gets involved, stops the
Leap of
suicide
faith.
dive, leap of faith, from the top turnbuckle to the table.
That's what it's listed as, the leap of faith.
They've gone over all around the ring area. They go all into the audience area. They scaffolding, suplex, and everything like that. You're watching this match. It's obviously known. We know it's the car crash match.
Yeah.
Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did it? You know what? This did exactly what I wanted it to do.
It did exactly what I expected it to do. To be honest, when I heard Falls Count Anywhere, I'm like, oh, they're gonna go all around the ring. It's gonna be somewhere. I put for the pinfall, I put outside the ring. I'm trying to be vague as possible.
Yeah, I know. That's why you didn't get any points.
I was figuring I wanted to you gotta be more specific. Like that, fuck, okay. But
Be more what?
specific.
God, I love catching you on that word. You gotta be more like this ocean over here.
No, but it was like the finish was. I was like, it was one of the 3 finishes I didn't see coming.
Shane winning?
I didn't see Shane, it was Shane winning the way he won. I figured if there's going to be a clean win, the Miz would win. If it was going to be a dirty win, Shane would have used his power as a McMahon to bring somebody else in to help him out. Mm-hmm. But it was like Shane got a clean win in a no disqualification Falls Count Anywhere. With there was no outside shenanigans that happened there. This is the way a Falls Count Anywhere match should probably end.
Nick, how did you feel about this?
It was exactly what I thought it would be. I had guessed that the match would end on the stage. And when Shane was on the top rope getting ready to jump to the table, I thought for sure, I'm like, yes, I'm going to get some extra points. And I was like, fuck you, Mr. Miz. I fucking hate you. Got in my way.
Piece of fucking shit.
But no, it was a cool match. And another one of those matches that weren't too short. It wasn't too long. I liked the spots they did in the crowd. I liked the way they got involved with the equipment.
Got to the point.
Yeah. And
Oh,
I thought it was, definitely spot on. I kind of expected the Miz to go over. But, whatever. I wasn't disappointed. So
Japanese announce table destruction. Did anybody see that fucking thing coming?
No, not at all.
Kelly, as you're looking over your notes, what's another match that stood out that you had something that you were like, you know what, I got to write this?
I did it was, shut up. Okay, so I did make a note. It wasn't an actual match, but it's is it
Elias.
Elias. Oh, right, he's right behind me. Versus John Cena. They didn't actually do anything, but for one, when he came out, did you see that he hugged Keegan-Michael Key, who's wearing a Detroit hat?
I did.
Yeah.
I don't think I was the only person that pointed that one out.
No. So I thought that was cool. And then
Keegan-Michael Key's from Detroit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the point.
Oh, okay.
So,
Damn.
so
Wait.
he tried to be like, actually, well, duh, that's why I'm pointing it out.
Damn.
So I didn't know that Cena kind of had this thugonomics background. So without that context, I walked out and I was like, what kind of midlife crisis wannabe back at Michigan State, type of thing is going on here? What happened to him? Is he all right?
It just reminds you of your college experience.
yeah.
Like, look at all these crackers.
Right here. Uncle, what is going on there?
Fucking white people.
I mean, yeah.
That's a good shirt. You can buy that.
So I thought that was interesting. And then that Elias was playing this musical instrument. I thought it was interesting because, this is somewhat theater, and so he's showing off all of his different talents. And I thought it was interesting.
So let's talk about that. John Cena comes back, says he's turning heel, busts a freestyle rap against Elias after Elias said he was going to have the greatest musical performance in WrestleMania history. He was the headliner. He was the reason that everyone was going to love. So obviously, as always, everyone knows Elias is going to get interrupted. Nick, on a scale of 1 to 100, matter of fact, 0 to 100, how much, 0 being not the fuck at all, to 100 being, yeah, no shit. How much did you expect Cena to be the one to interrupt Elias?
Wow.
I'll give you my answer.
25.
Really? That's like 25 higher than mine.
The only reason I say that is because I had Cena down to interrupt
Corbin Angle.
Yeah.
So there's got to be some hope somewhere in there. You know what I mean? So to say that there was 0 chance.
To say that Cena would come out, 100% chance for me. To say it was to interrupt Elias as the doctor of thugonomics, 0.
Yeah.
Like I said,
What?
I was gonna say 10 because, like, literally, if he didn't come out for that, he was gonna come out for something, and like the only thing I can see him
So you're telling me, Smitty, you believed in the smallest part of your hair that John Cena would interrupt Elias?
Because the only spot,
single dread.
Yes, because the only spot outside of the Angle Corbin match they would have interfered with was that.
Yeah, that makes
but
sense.
not the Dr. Thugonomics. Kind of like what he did, what him and The Rock did with the Wyatt family a couple years back.
Yeah, no, that thugonomics thing, I was like, what the fuck?
I'm not gonna lie, I did mark out because Bob was like, oh, so you guys like Cena? I'm like, this. It's not the whole thing about Cena. Like, this is when everybody used to love Cena when he did this gimmick. He was 100% behind with the crowd when he did this.
The dude, what's up, Brocast? The dude fucking came out. He's a Boston boy, and he was rocking a
The
Yankees
New York
jersey. Yankees fucking everything. I was
Great
like,
Bambino.
yeah, damn it. What did you think about that, Nick? Was that the most entertaining you have seen Elias and Cena in a long time? Because he mentioned the golden shovel, as Kelly brought out, which we will get into the golden shovel.
The freestyle was hilarious.
They usually are.
It really was. I was entertained.
strong comments on this one.
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but it was funny. It didn't put me to sleep. It was good. What's that F word? Was it? Were we gonna use that F word?
I don't even.
Oh, fodder.
There it is.
I don't have a fucking drink. I don't have a drink.
I'll drink for you.
Lush. I like drinks.
Do you know what I do on the show?
Smith Yay West.
Nah, I'm going by Stephen Smitty now. Stephen A. Smitty.
Very nice.
No.
Artist formerly known as.
We're still gonna call you Smith Yay West. Want to make wrestling great again, Muaga.
Now, let me tell you something right now.
Muaga.
Cena's out. Elias is in there. Did he bear? When you saw that, were you mad? Were you happy? Did you think that's what needed to be happen?
So when they announced that Elias was going to do something, like I said, we knew he was going to get interrupted. He was going to get some type of moment. They weren't really doing anything with him to start off with besides let him get interrupted and something happened in between there. And I think probably the highest profile they could have did, unless they did what they did on Monday, was Cena.
Okay. Kelly, you asked about the golden shovel. It's nothing like a golden shower.
I was wondering.
I know.
R. Kelly is not in this building.
Yeah. Rowe Kelly. Kelly R, not R. Kelly. Yep, I just made that connection.
I'm pretty sure you're way above his age limit.
So anyway,
Show just took a turn.
You're the most inappropriate fucking wrestler in the world.
John Cena, for a long time, a lot of fans used to say that John Cena would bury talent. And Cena was the golden child. He had his golden shovel. If he didn't like you, whatever happened with you, you weren't doing anything. You know, similar to how they're saying that Randy Orton buried Kofi. Like, he messed up, so he was like, fuck this. He should not be in this ever again. He needs to be at the bottom of the barrel. And you got to work your way up. Same thing happened with Miz. Like, Miz, WrestleMania 31.
Not 31.
No, not 30. Like,
it was
28
or 27.
27, 28. No, it was 27 because
27,
28 and 29 were back to back.
Yeah.
Miz and Cena.
Rock
Cena and Rock. So WrestleMania 27, the Miz headlined.
He's
against
the
John
champion.
Cena as the champion. Kept the championship as well with help from The Rock. After that, he fell to the pre-show, the next WrestleMania, because of things he did in the back. Not so much Cena or anything like that, but it buried him. And that's why Cena's being told.
Also, that program buried The Miz, too.
We're not going to talk about that. We're going into this conversation, Smitty. Shut up. So.
Okay, sorry. I'm a Miz fan. I am.
But I had to get that laughing. So basically, people said that if John Cena didn't like you, he would take his golden shovel and bury you.
That's cool.
So that's why he came out and saying, no, it wasn't cool, because a lot of people that people loved.
Well, just having that power is cool.
But he didn't. Like, it was one of those myths that the fans said, well, Cena doesn't like this guy, so they bury.
Cena's was a yes guy.
Right. Cena did what he was told to do. So did HBK when they screwed Brett. You know, it's weird, different stuff, but fans want to say what the fans want to say, and that must be gospel truth, because enough fans are saying it. I don't know if you've heard anything like that before. These people say it's true, so it must be true. You know, I guess we'll have something else for you.
Ooh, I got it. Okay, this was a qualm I had.
Ooh, I love that word.
Thank you.
Smitty, that means problem.
Motherfucker, I've read the dictionary once or twice.
He got in a lot of trouble as a kid.
Yes, I did, actually. One time for throwing a dictionary at a teacher. Ironically.
The irony of that. So
Get it, Alanis Morissette? That's fucking irony.
I understand. Moving on. I understand that in certain matches, someone who's retiring would lose. And let me get my opinion out about that. I don't like that. I get it's kind of like a soap opera where you have to write them out of the show, where you have to say, their career was ended by this guy and that guy goes on to move on. But I just didn't like it. I think in something that's wins and losses, you should let someone go out on top and say, I just won everything. Now I'm done with wrestling forever. The fact that they go out with a loss, I didn't care for it.
They do it for women. They don't do it for men often.
But isn't that what happened during WrestleMania?
Kurt Angle?
Kurt Angle.
Yes.
It's not often when they let men off. Like, it's kind of more like, seems like wrestling protocol. When men go out, they go out on their back.
Oh, it's still a loss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? I don't like that. You guys got nothing? Why did they lose?
So you kind of answered your own question.
It's a passing of the torch to the next person.
Write them out. I don't like it.
Also went out to The Rock. Rock went out to Cena.
So if you think of it, it's a literal passing of the torch
to the next generation, not to that specific person.
Okay,
Speaking
and everyone
of that,
knows that though.
Let's
right?
actually go. Yes,
Okay.
it's. So Smitty, that was actually a really good thing that you just said accidentally. For a segue. You didn't say that accidentally. It's an accidental.
Oh, okay.
Segue
I was like,
to
fight him already.
Outside of Triple H and Batista, this WrestleMania was a changing of the guard WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar, old schoolish, but lost to Seth, who's a newer guy. You know, AJ went over on Orton. While they're both kind of old schoolish, AJ's new to the WWE audience. Rey Mysterio lost to Samoa Joe. Again, Samoa Joe has been in for a while, but new to your WWE audience. The Iconics the newest of the female tag teams,
the only true female tag team,
took the belts over Sasha and Bayley. You know,
Beth killed Bayley. That fucking wham slam.
Finn Balor taking the Intercontinental. Basically, for the most part, all of these wrestlers that had great showings at WrestleMania are people that have debuted in the WWE not that long ago.
Within the last 4 years?
Within the last 10 years, dude. Like, it's... I want to say the person who is the oldest debut in this were the Usos.
Kofi.
And Kofi. You know, but at the same time, Kofi going over is a changing of the guard in the same sense as it's because it's setting a history bar.
Yeah.
It's something that's never happened before, so it is still a changing of the guard.
And even The Rock did that.
That being said, man, Nick, we'll start with you. As we're watching a historical WrestleMania, it is what it is. Women, Kofi, and the guard change. Did it feel like when you were watching this show and you left it being done, were you satisfied? Were you just, I'm not saying did you give this WrestleMania a 10 out of 10, but were you like, that was, yes, thank you. Thank you, WWE, for a great show.
Yeah, I definitely did because, and honestly, I didn't think about it until now, though you put it into perspective, the passing of the guard, not just with the Kurt Angle Baron Corbin match, but nearly every other match the whole entire night. And even more now than when I first watched the show, I feel satisfied because this feels more like the end of an era, but the end of a season, if you will. Because, yeah, usually the Raw and SmackDown after WrestleMania, there's some changes, there's some little... Right now, it really feels like a really good, fresh start. It really does.
Smitty, when you were watching it, and even the second time, same thing. Like maybe you're just realizing now when I said it, or anything. Like you're looking at this WrestleMania, and I know we talked about that this is one of the better WrestleManias. So obviously, at the end of it, there's some sort of satisfaction. There's some sort of relief. There's some sort of I can't even think of the word right now. But bottom line is, at the end of this show, let's say the second time, because obviously we were busy very much the first time. Second time you sat down and you watched WrestleMania 35. What were you feeling when it was done?
I felt like this was something different for the WWE. And then, once again, I'm always just cynic when it comes to certain things. I'm like, this where they messed this up now? WrestleMania ended on a really good note. But where they mess it up now? Do they go back to the same old bullshit they do, or does it get better from here? And that's just my cynicism from there, like kicking in there.
I hope they take the momentum and run with it. I really do.
Yeah, well, I do too. I do, but how long have we been watching this product, and we see when they do something really great at one point, and then they just throw it down the toilet for the same old shit they've been doing time in and time out.
I think the odds of the change happening for the better half of us and happening for, the more common wrestling fan and getting even like seasoned guys like you that are really deep into it, that are more jaded than I am, to get everybody back into it. Now's the time because there's so many things changing. They have AEW, which Triple H can say all day that it's a piss-hand company, but the bottom line is it's competition. It's direct competition. Mm-hmm. You have SmackDown moving over to Fox coming up in the fall. There's so many different things that are going to be happening. Now's the time for them to really make some serious moves, and I think it would behoove them.
By the way,
to do so.
The whole barrel AEW during the Hall of Fame thing, I think it got AEW over a little bit more than they thought it would.
What?
Have you ever seen
Are you about to sidecast real quick?
No, he said like the barrel AEW that Triple H did during the Hall of Fame ceremony. I think it got him over more than they tried to bury him.
Oh yeah, for sure. Now, Kelly, you were watching. Like you said, we've mentioned, so we don't have to mention it again. At the end of this show, you obviously said that you kind of now have a love for wrestling. Where do you think that might take you?
Good question. So
Thanks.
That's a great question. Good interviewer. From here, I found myself sad at the end of it that I didn't know a lot of the storylines before, because I think that could have added to it. I saw glimpses of them, and so I wanted to expand on that. So I tried not to do it too much before this, just so, again, it could be organic and say, oh, this is what a first-timer saw.
We don't drink it organic, just fodder.
I do. And you just said fodder. And I just said it
It's
as
when
well.
you say fodder.
Oh, I still just said it.
Still counts. But from here, I'm going to look into it, and I'd like to follow a lot of these careers, especially the women. I was really sold on that. Again, I can't emphasize enough that I've never really heard people sitting around and talking about the great athleticism of these women. You know, in a place that there's still WNBA jokes. To hear so many people so excited about this, I want to be a part of that, and to have part of the announcing team, the play-by-play was another woman, and the host was a woman, and it was just great. It feels like a place where things are finally on an equal playing field.
And yeah, you're right, because that had not been a WWE thing for a very long time. There was a time in WWE where when Trish Stratus and Lita, two Hall of Fame women right now, the highest achievement that they had was they main evented a Monday Night Raw. Mm-hmm. And then shortly after they retired, WWE, the women became I kind of said it before, a piss break match. Like,
yeah.
Women are on, cool, I'm going to go pee now.
Not even a piss break. They were literally models that were there. They were literally thirst bait.
Well, they were bra and panty matches.
Right.
Like I say, they were thirst bait.
So had I come into this and that would have been the case, it probably would have really pissed me off. I don't like that stuff. So now that this is what this is,
I'm sorry, never mind.
They were thirst traps.
Nope, I'm not going to go there. You have a real job.
They were thirst traps.
Do you think you'll be watching it more? Like maybe
absolutely.
once in a while record one? Or, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. And that SmackDown movement to Fox. I know somebody works at Fox, so there might be something there for me.
And it's supposed to October, right? When it's supposed to.
Yeah, that's the official move happens then. Now,
Month before Survivor Series.
Yeah,
that's bold.
That's when TV seasons pick up, dog. That's
I know.
not really their option.
No, my birthday's during sweeps week.
So, Smitty, you and your knowledge of television. Now, as a woman who came into this looking at and being blown away, I wanted to say that last WrestleMania, where the women were not as featured, but still featured decently, many of us, like the most entertaining match we said was the Ronda Rousey match at last year's WrestleMania, but the best technically worked match we all said was Charlotte and Asuka. So that's the other thing that has built this up, and that's why we can argue in the build of it. A lot of us, myself included, were like, don't want Charlotte in this match. Then within the last couple weeks beforehand to after the match happened, we're like, Charlotte deserved that spot. Mm-hmm. It's a WrestleMania spot. It's a WrestleMania moment. There's only one time that women can headline WrestleMania first. And after the performance she put on the year before to everything she's done since
in 2018,
to say that Charlotte did not deserve to be in the main event of WrestleMania is kind of a slap in her face. She wasn't really fully, the way they did it was dumb. Like, we can argue storylining of Charlotte into the wrestle match all over the place. But to say that overall she did not deserve that spot, if you say that, you're just being biased. There's no way that you're just saying that because, Becky Lynch, I'm a huge Becky Lynch fan. And that's the thing. You're not saying it because you hate women. You're saying because you just really
don't like
can't
that
understand
Pacific
Charlotte.
Right. And that's part of it.
100%. So, yes, I'm really happy that bringing you into this came at a time where it was a showcase to something that not only you could appreciate, but revel in, So I'm actually really happy that, because I've asked you, obviously we're friends, we've been friends for a couple of years now, and I've asked you for other time, come on out, have fun with it, and you're like, yeah, it's only, fuck you, fatty, and I'm like, yeah, I'm fat.
We all are.
No, of course not. Not out loud anyway. So. You gotta give me a shit.
Right.
But I am happy that the time that you actually did come was a time that even the most cynical of wrestling fans at the end of it went, that was good. And it takes
I'm probably one of the most cynical.
Yeah.
I'm probably the most cynical person on this show.
I think only Joe is more cynical.
I said one of the most cynical.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I put you at number 2 in cynicism.
I'll take that.
Which
Well,
is
not shit, but
yeah, of course you will.
2.
Yeah, that's what you are. So,
He shit maybe.
well, hey, you can't be the shit if you're not shit. So anyway, let's talk about. You said you're going to follow up and everything. Do you think that, like, and Nick asked, do you think you're going to start recording some things and you think you're going to pay attention on a weekly basis? Or do you think that it's going to be a small hobby, like I'm going to get a chance, I'm going to take a look, or I'm going to go back and hear what this happened, or, oh, Mikey and them are watching it at B-Dubs, I'm probably going to go and check it out for a little bit?
I think it'll probably be a build, but if you are watching somewhere, I like a good B-Dub, so that's a draw right there. But I think it will be a build. It'll start off as like, all right, let me check these clips.
In other words, like start with the big 4 and then.
I don't even know what that means. So I got to learn that stuff first. So there's a bit of a curve there. So there's a lot to learn. But as I notice more people interested, because before, if it was on my feed, if it was on my Twitter feed or something, and someone was talking about wrestling, I'd be like, okay, I don't know. So I skip past it. But now I'll be stopping, and that's a huge difference,
Yeah.
So from there, I'll probably build, and we'll see where it goes.
Literally, wrestling to you is what women's wrestling is now. Like, people, it used to be something they just skipped by. I mean,
he's telling the truth.
But now it's something that
WWE wrestling.
It gives everyone a pause. No matter what you're watching, if it's something that used to be treated as throwaway to now makes you go, huh, then they're doing their job. And that's what the WWE did, is their job to bring in a new casual fan. So you can't be angry at this. That's the end of our show. Like, we have like 5 more minutes left, but anything else we get into is going to take way more than 5 minutes.
That's a good way to go.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to say that next week on our show, hopefully we'll have another special guest and be able to go in a little bit more of the things that happened WrestleMania weekend, the G1 Supercard, NXT TakeOver, things so much that, like, it was, luckily for us, we have weeks to talk about this because nothing really is happening until Money in the Bank in late May.
Yeah, which is like, 3 weeks?
Late May.
So late May, so we got nothing to talk about until 3 weeks till the bill starts?
Yeah, exactly. So
that was my whole point.
Yeah, well, you said 3 weeks, so that's how I took that, silly goose. I just want to say, first off, thank you, Kelly, for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming to the WrestleMania event.
Thank you for, being a good friend. So I wanted to come, and now I know wrestling. Now I like wrestling. That's huge.
Yeah.
You're a good advocate for the cause of wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen,
his name is Mikey Nichols, and he is the reigning, defending, undisputed advocate of professional wrestling for Breaking Down the Ring podcast.
Thanks, Arsenio.
I like the Arsenio thing.
Can't wait to have you back on really soon. Hopefully, in the near future. Obviously, do more things with you. Can't wait for you to talk with us on Twitter, on all of our social media. Thank you so much. To the broadcast for saying it was a great show. We really appreciate that. All the way from Australia, where they put the little shrimp on the barbie.
Well, the dingoes eat your babies. Well, the dingoes eat your babies.
That twice. Whatever.
Hugh Jackman.
Foster's is not really Australian for beer. That's what they're saying. I'm just telling
Let's
you.
get down there and get pissed with them one time.
Anyway, thank you again, Kelly, for coming in. Ladies and gentlemen, you can follow Kelly on her social media at Kellie Rowe. That's KELLIEROWE.
Thanks, Mom. For the weird spelling.
Kelly, that's good. That's good. You want to stand out in the crowd.
No souvenirs for me.
But you need to stand out in the crowd. What? There's got to be some souvenirs with the IE.
Not one.
You know what? We're going to see the point. You're going to we're going to find the IE. And when we find it, I'll be like,
let's go.
And I'm like, I'm buying this for you right now. And you're
I
like,
got a couple
no,
of friends
I
out
don't
there. Maybe we get a ticket this season. Maybe. No, I still got friends out there.
We're people that know people. So yes, everybody follow her on her social media at Kellie Rowe, KELLIEROWE. That is Twitter and Instagram, same name. Follow her, see what she does for a living. Obviously, you might be surprised, man. She's fucking kick ass. You know, I couldn't put you over enough in the amount of time that we have left, because honestly, as a friend, as a person who I see bust their ass at your job and doing what you do on a daily basis, you're admirable. You're just as admirable as the women that you saw at headlining WrestleMania. So
Stop gonna make her cry.
No,
she's getting a little misty.
She has the waterproof makeup on. She's good.
Onions in here.
Right. So again, thank you so much for coming in, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we have to tell you, every pay-per-view we will be watching for the WWE at Buffalo Wild Wings in downtown Detroit. That's 1218 Randolph Street, Detroit, Michigan. We will be there watching the pay-per-view. 2 big events coming up for SummerSlam as well as Survivor Series. SummerSlam in August, Survivor Series in November. We will be doing events, more giveaways, more prizes, all that fun. Second floor greatness, 1218 Randolph Street. We'll get these events up on our Facebook. So go to facebook.com/BDRcast, twitter.com/BDRcast, Instagram BDRcast, Snapchat BDRcast, youtube.com/Breaking Down the Ring. And you can find us on all of our stuff. If you... I know, I'm just dropping it out. It's what I do.
Is that all you got, Nick?
Yeah, he's kind of
more stamina.
If you are watching us live, if you are listening to us live, number 1, thank you so much. Number 2, go to our YouTube and you subscribe, because you can, anything that you missed, you will catch on our YouTube as far as the video goes. And if you're listening on the audio, go to Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your favorite podcast, unless it's Spotify or Stitcher. But you can follow us, Breaking Down the Ring. Make sure that you subscribe. Give us 5 stars. Thank you so much. And if you're listening on all of the stuff that happens to be stuff that's pre-recorded, check us out every Wednesday night, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Podcast Detroit app, which you can find in your Google Play or iOS App Store, or Twitter and Periscope. Again, at BDRcast. You can watch live, comment. We talk to some people every time they say stuff. Obviously, you know, the broadcast did comment on that, slapping them face, said, hand slapped the face, said, come on down under and let's have a few.
We're going to get pissed with you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, again, PW Scorecards is what made all of this fun. Kelly, we're going to get you to fill one out for the next big one.
Or we can do Money in the Bank, because there's a women's Money in the Bank coming up for that one.
Well, the next pay-per-view is what I meant, Money in the Bank. So when you come and you're sitting there watching it at B-Dubs with us, you're going to... I'll tell you, it's a whole different level, because even a bad pay-per-view is good, because it's like fantasy football. It's
Backlash 2 years ago.
Yep.
Perfect example.
Makes everything better. So PW Scorecards at PWSCORECARDS on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, and you can get all of your fun.
We could have mentioned how we cleanly swept them this time around.
We're going to talk. Daniel's calling in next week, so we're going to have a conversation about all of the fun this month with our pro wrestling scorecards, and Daniel's got some surprises for us that he's going to be giving out.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's going to have some conversations that they're talking about things for the future of pro wrestling scorecards. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for us. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. We are your ring crew.
Nick, your numero uno negro, Smitty.
And me, the almighty one, Mikey himself. Kelly, do you have anything you want to say to the listeners of Breaking Down the Ring, or any wrestling fans that want...
Old or new?
Thank you for inviting me into your world, and I'm looking forward to the future and seeing where this goes, this relationship between me and wrestling. And thank you for listening.
Hey, can't spell BDR without Kelly Rowe. She got the R.
Yeah,
she is
Kelly R. She's
yeah.
Kelly R.
Yeah. He brought it back. I tried to leave it alone. Smitty brought it back.
Hey, fuck, how many times do you bring shit back on me?
Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and we are out.